Every year, Americans chew through 100 million pounds of bubble gum. Pink, stretchy, sweet. But here's what nobody tells you. The man who invented it was trying to make something completely different. He failed at his actual job and accidentally created a billion-dollar industry. This is the story of bubble gum, and we're telling it backwards. But before we unravel this mystery, quick favor. If you're curious about how accidents change the world, hit that like button. It helps more people discover these hidden stories. Now let's go back ... Walk into any convenience store today and you'll see it. Double bubble, bazooka, hubba, bubba, that distinctive pink color you recognize instantly. But why pink? Why that specific texture that lets you blow bubbles the size of your head? The answer takes us back to a single night in 1928 to a 23-year-old accountant who wasn't supposed to be in the laboratory at all. His name was Walter Diemer. He worked for the Fleer Chewing Gum Company in Philadelphia, and technically, he was supposed to be doing their books, not experimenting with gum recipes. But something happened that night that changed everything. But to understand why that night mattered, we need to go back further. Because bubble gum wasn't the first gum, not even close. So what were people chewing before 1928? In the early 1900s, America was obsessed with chewing gum. Not bubble gum, just regular chewing gum. Brands like Wrigley's and Chiclets dominated. You could chew it, it had flavor, but you couldn't blow bubbles with it. The texture was all wrong. And companies knew this. It drove them crazy. They wanted to create a gum that could stretch, that could blow bubbles, that would be fun, not just functional. The Fleer Company tried first. In 1906, founder Frank Fleer actually invented a bubble-blowing gum. He called it Blibber-Blubber. It was a disaster. Blibber-Blubber was so sticky it was nearly impossible to remove from your skin. When bubbles popped, they'd coat your face like cement. One tester said it was like having a wet napkin slapped across your mouth that wouldn't come off. The product never made it to market. For 20 years, bubblegum remained impossible. The formula was too hard, too soft, too sticky. Never right. Companies gave up. They accepted that chewing gum was the best they could do, which brings us back to Walter Diemer, the accountant. So why was an accountant messing around in the laboratory? What made him think he could solve a problem that professional chemists couldn't crack? The answer is beautifully simple. Walter Diemer was bored. That's it. That's the reason. He was an accountant at a gum company, and in his spare time, he'd wander into the lab and just ... experiment. No formal training, no chemistry degree. Just curiosity and access to ingredients. He'd mix gum bases with different ratios. Add latex here, rosin there, sweeteners, oils. Most experiments failed immediately. Some resulted in gum that was too hard to chew. Others dissolved in your mouth. But one evening in 1928, something different happened. He was testing a new formula. He'd been adjusting the ratios of gum base to latex for weeks. This particular batch had less latex than usual, more sweeteners. And here's the crucial part. The only food coloring he had on hand was pink. Not because pink was special, just because that's what was sitting on the shelf. He chewed a piece. The texture was ... different, smoother, more elastic. On a whim, he tried to blow a bubble. It worked. The bubble expanded, clean, perfect, and when it popped, it peeled off easily. No sticky disaster, no face-coating mess. Walter Diemer had just invented bubble gum by accident because he was bored with whatever ingredients happened to be nearby. But here's where it gets wild. Diemer didn't tell anyone at first. He made the discovery in the evening after work hours. He wasn't even supposed to be experimenting. And when he tried to recreate the formula the next day, he couldn't remember exactly what he'd done. He spent 4 months trying to recreate his own accident. 4 months of trial and error, mixing batch after batch, before he finally got it right again. When he finally did, the Fleer Company tested it immediately. They gave it to a local grocery store in Philadelphia. All 100 pieces sold out in a single afternoon. They named it Double Bubble, and that pink color Walter used because it was convenient. It became the industry standard. That's why most bubble gum is still pink today, because of what was on the shelf that night. But let's go even further back. Because the story of bubble gum actually begins thousands of years before Walter Diemer's boredom. It begins with a simple human impulse, the need to chew. Ancient Greeks chewed mastic tree resin. Mayans chewed chicle from sapodilla trees. Native Americans chewed spruce tree resin and taught it to European settlers. For thousands of years, humans have been putting things in their mouths just to chew them. In the 1840s, the first commercial chewing gum was sold in America, literally just spruce tree sap rolled up and sold as state of Maine pure spruce gum. Then, in 1869, a man named Thomas Adams was trying to create synthetic rubber from chicle, the tree sap from Mexico. He failed completely at making rubber, but he noticed the chicle made decent chewing gum. Sound familiar? That's right. Bubble gum was invented by accident. Because regular chewing gum was also invented by accident. Both men were trying to create something else entirely. Adams failed at rubber, created chewing gum. Diemer was just bored and curious, created bubble gum. Two accidents, 60 years apart, that created an entire industry. By the 1930s, Double Bubble was everywhere. During World War II, it was included in soldiers' rations. G is spread it worldwide. Kids in bombed-out cities in Europe and Asia got their first taste of American culture through pink bubble gum. Walter Diemer never received royalties for his invention. The company paid him his regular salary and gave him a small raise. That's it, no millions, no fame during his lifetime. But he didn't seem to mind. In interviews late in his life, he said teaching salespeople to blow bubbles was some of the most fun he ever had. He traveled to stores demonstrating his product, making kids laugh, creating moments of joy. He died in 1998 at 93 years old. By then, the world was chewing through billions of pieces of his accidental invention every year. But here's the final twist you probably didn't know. The exact formula Walter Diemer created, we still use it today, 95 years later. Modern bubble gum is almost chemically identical to what that bored accountant mixed up in 1928. Sure, we've added new flavors, changed the sweeteners, made it last longer. But the fundamental formula, the ratios that allow bubbles to form perfectly, hasn't changed. Scientists have tried to improve it. They've tested thousands of variations, and you know what they found? Diemer's accident was perfect. The random ratios he stumbled onto were somehow ideal. The proportions he couldn't even remember the next day turned out to be exactly what they needed to be. Sometimes accidents are better than intention. So, when you see a kid blow a massive pink bubble today, you're watching history. You're seeing the exact same chemical reaction that happened in a Philadelphia laboratory in 1928, when that bored accountant mixed whatever was on the shelf. From ancient tree sap to failed rubber experiments to boredom on a Tuesday evening to a billion-dollar industry. From one man who couldn't remember his own formula to a product that hasn't needed improvement in nearly a century. The entire story of bubble gum is a story of accidents, failures, and curiosity. Of people trying to create one thing and stumbling into something better. And that pink color? Still just what was on the shelf. Walter Diemer proved something important. You don't need to be an expert to change the world. You just need to be curious, to experiment, to pay attention when something unexpected happens. If this story blew your mind like a perfect pink bubble, smash that like button and subscribe for more reverse histories. Hit that notification bell so you never miss when we unravel another mystery. Drop a comment telling me, what other accidents should I investigate? What invention do you think has a hidden story? Your comments literally shape what we explore next. Thanks for traveling through time with me. See you in the next chapter of Hidden History.